Hey, my name is McLaughlin. As you can see, my website is Wilco Land. In this video, I just want to present to you how to use Deschutes to your advantage when you're looking at researching properties. So, this work smarter, not harder, is what I want to say. And there's a lot of property data and records out there, along with GIS systems that you can get online and use to your advantage before even really spending a lot of time researching a property. So this can all be done from the comfort of your home. The two counties I want to touch on are Deschutes County, which is the Bend, Oregon area, and then Crook County, which is the Prineville, Oregon area. So let's start with Deschutes County. So something simple, these property records and these databases are going to answer questions like, hey, what's the zoning? What can I do with the property? Hey, how big is the property? Who owned the property last? Who are my neighbors? What's their address? Are there any permits? Is there any septic system documents? Is there any well documents? Is anything done? So a million questions can be answered using this. I mean, this is really what I do to research these properties. So I know what it's called. It's called Dial Deschutes, but let's say you're not familiar with it. Deschutes County, parcel search might be something you look for. Deschutes County GIS system is another thing you could search for. So assessor's office, if I click this, I don't think that one's going to work. I want to see something like maybe record search. Let's try something like that. Record search might not be it. So again, Deschutes County parcel search. Let's try the assessor's home. Deschutes County, is limiting, yada, yada, yada. Please use to access our property records. So something that you maybe could have typed in for a better search, Deschutes County property records could have been better. So we'll go right back into this. Again, you're kind of playing around with Google using different keywords, parcel search, property lookup, things of that nature. So you're playing around in this county website till you find this for some property records. And for Deschutes County, if you're looking here, I'll tell you right now, it's Dial Deschutes. So get in there, go to dialdeschutes.org. And the next thing you do, like, how do I find the property? There's no address. What's the address? How do I identify it? I'm going to do this one, for example, this little lot next to the Deschutes River in Bend, Oregon that we have. We provide a lot of valuable information here, but really we want to put the information in your hands to make these decisions and look it up on your own. Parcel ID, APM, map tax lot number, things of that nature are going to be what you can identify the property with. As you can see, you can look up owner name, account, map tax lot, the property address. Not a lot of vacant land has that, and everything else in between. So I'm just going to do a general search. I'm looking up the property. I know it's our property, Wilco LLC here. You can look at things like sales, tax information, what it's valued at. You can see some real market values over here, some assessed values. You can look at what subdivision it's in, assessor acreage, your ownership form, an overview map. You can look into that, click around at your neighboring properties. So we're diving into kind of property data on the one that we bought. So moving on to the next thing is you can look at what your service, like maybe you're looking for more residential properties. This would be more important to you. Development, that's probably pretty important. So you're looking at zoning designations. This pertains to land use, what you can do with the property. And you click this and you can read more about what that means to each zoning. You really don't understand it, you can schedule a call with me, we can go over it. I actually recommend you probably contacting the county with a submission for that you're interested in. So planning jurisdiction, Deschutes County, and legal lot of record, not within a mapped wetland. So you can kind of look into some of these county development details. Next thing is, are there any permits? Has anybody gotten a permit to put a well in or a septic system? Because those cost money, and those are applications you have to go through. So there's no permits. You'll see more permits on developed properties with houses that already have some development in there. So the next thing I'm going to look at is a zoning map. This really is just telling me this is RR10 zoning. Over here is something different. This is FP, so that stands for floodplain. You can look at probably a legend somewhere, but you can also use this map to click around and see who your neighbors are. Okay, so here's your neighbor, there's their address, what subdivision it is, reliability code. I'm not really sure what that means, but we get it. You could go to Zoom 2. Oops. I'm moving this thing all over the place, but view account information for this tax lot is what I wanted to show you. So if I clicked into this, I can actually look. So going above and beyond being strategic in your land search is, hey, I'm looking at a vacant land. There's no permits on file. How do I know if a septic system is going to be approved? How do I know what septic system I'll be using? How do I know how much a well is going to cost? Is it going to be 100 feet deep or 1,000 feet deep? Is the soil going to perk? A perk test kind of relates to septic systems. There's no city water or sewer. These things matter to you. And with that perk test, what I would do, like thinking outside the box, is click around on your neighbor's properties and say, hey, this neighbor has a well in their property, and the neighbor on the other side of me does, and they both have, documents. For example, let's go to the either permits page. Maybe this is a feasibility, so like septic feasibility. Let's say they were approved for a septic system. Let's say they had a perk test done. All the properties around you, for example, all perk. So, for your property to be the anomaly, like that it doesn't perk and everything else around you does, would be very odd. But it's not a perfect way to do it, but it really eliminates a lot of like pessimism. It creates this optimistic viewpoint of, hey, everybody around me has property that perks. I can see that as I click around on their profiles and look at their permits and documents. So you can view these documents and read about the feedback that people gave on it. That's what I would do. So maybe all these properties around you, going back even further to where we clicked around at these adjoining properties. So I'm going to get rid of some of this transparency. And let's say I clicked into this property. I looked at their account info. I saw their well was 100 feet. I saw this property had a well for 100 feet. These two had wells at 50 feet. And, this one was 125. I mean, that leads me to believe you're going to get some sort of well depth around that average. Now, could I be wrong? Yes. It's not a perfect way to do it, but it is a way to think outside the box and start to eliminate maybe some red flags or create some optimism on what you want to do with the property. Same with septic systems for these rural properties. If these all were approved for septic systems, if all the soil is perking around the property, the likelihood that the property that you're looking at perks is going to be there. So you're probably not going to get all this done before you buy a property. We offer a 90-day return policy, so you can do all that in the first 90 days of that purchase. So again, our property doesn't have any of these documents, but some properties will have tons of documents available. And I recommend looking at some of those adjoining lots to you to get better insight into what you can do maybe on your property, or what you can expect in terms of well depth development, soil, septic systems and things like that. So developers, builders, the county, all that development should go through the county, and that all gets recorded on Dial Deschutes. So I wanted to show you that. And again, we looked at zoning as well. So that was on there as well. So you can see the zoning, and again, it's on a different page here that we looked at. So the next thing I want to show you is this interactive map that Dial Deschutes offers. And what's cool about this interactive map is, and I won't take too much time doing this, a lot of counties have this, and you can, it crosses over. You can look at different topo maps, for example. It's going to change what your kind of your background of it is. But I'm going to go back to this aerial view, and I'm going to click on layers, and you can see, how detailed this gets. Building inspection area, bus routes, concrete contours, 100 feet, county boundaries, depth to groundwater. This is really interesting. Let's take a look at that. Unknown. 0 to 2 feet depth ground. I don't know what all this means necessarily without really diving into it myself. I'm just jumping into this, but FEMA 100-year flood plan, you can see that shows up. So as I click into some of these, I think less is more. You don't want too many layers, but maybe one at a time or a few at a time. Federal and wild scenic waterway. So just really interesting stuff. Roads and the ownership. You can see that these are local access roads. Schools nearby, soils. So these are like soil reports. There's probably a legend somewhere that you might be able to look into, or again, I might get on Google and start to research some of this, or get on the county website to see what it has to say about it. But again, I just wanted to show you all the availability here. Again, zoning's in here too, zip code. So there's a lot of stuff that's available to you in your land search without getting up from your desk or your computer. So this is a good starting point for those interested. I'm going to move on to Deschutes, Crook County now. So Crook County is a county over from Deschutes. I'm going to look at Crook County, Oregon parcel search. It's already in my Google. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find one of our properties in Crook County here. And this is the one that jumps out to me. So looking at that here, you get, my good old YouTube videos for these. And let's copy some sort of identifying factor to this property. There is no address. This really doesn't have much, doesn't really show me much. I'm just going to trust this link and I'm going to roll with it. It's going to bring me to a very similar database as Dial Deschutes is. Dial Deschutes is personally probably one of my favorites. That and Lane County, which I have a video on how to use Lane counties too. So think coastal Oregon, Florence. And again, I want people to know every county has a database. Some counties are very basic. Some counties are very in depth in advance. So take a look at whatever county you're looking in. If you want to, talk to me about it, schedule a meeting with me, feel free to do so. Send me a text, email, or just call, and we can do that and go over some of this. So again, we have this overview, valuations, tax information, different sales. This obviously isn't in our company name yet, so this hasn't been updated yet. It's not real time. We recently bought this property, so it's going to have the map tax lot, the account number. There is no address, so these are your identifying factors. Tax map you can look at. It's going to pull this up. I believe this is our property just off the top of my head. What else are we looking at? Tax lot history. I mean, there's current ledger report. So you can play around with this sidebar. The next thing we can do is go to this summary, and we can look at an overview map. And I showed you that in the last one, I believe. The same as a zoning map. This is a GIS application. And we'll wait for this to load. In the meantime, we'll wait for this to load. And this is going to show up with something, hopefully soon, but let's move on and get some new tabs open. This might be the exact same thing. And let's see what's showing up. I'm not getting much. Okay, here we go. It's the same. It's basically the same as this. They're the two same things. So whatever link you want to click on, that's what's going to work. This is our property here. This is not loading for whatever reason. Typically this will say the owner name and mailing address. There you go. So it's updated here. This, you can see a different shade of color. This is 13,000 acres of BLM land, so USA land. So the backyard of this property connects all the way to the lake, actually, if you zoom out, or the reservoir, I should say, down here. So you can see, like, this is all owned. That's a lot of BLM land and public land there. So going back into this, again, looking at your neighbors, again, you can go into their information here. But for the sake of this video, I just want to stick to our property, which I've already lost. So the point of this, though, is not to go over our property. The point of this is to show you the power of these GIS systems. And you can see who your neighbors are. You can look at assessment info. You can also use the layers here. You can change your base map, just like I showed you with Deschutes County. You can look for streets. You can look at topo. The next thing you can do is start to change your layers. So I want you to realize that these can be opened up even further to show you what you're looking at. This really doesn't mean a lot to me, the tax lots, but something like transportation infrastructure, where the roads are at, might matter to me. Is there water pipes or sewer pipes? What does it look like on the map? It's giving you the legend there. Boundaries. Maybe you're interested in like development properties and you want to know where city boundaries are, if you're in it or not. Planning, zones, city zones, county zones. So this is too many. I mean, like I said, less is more. So let's get rid of the city zones. We're not in city limits here. These are county zones, and I'm actually partially colorblind. This looks like EFU1 to me, or even RR5. I mean, these colors are so close. I can't tell the difference, to be honest, but you can see that. It's telling you what the zoning is and these other properties around you. So habitat, is there deer habitat here? Yes, obviously something came up. Enterprise zone, habitat, elk, doesn't look like there's any elk back here, maybe. Natural features. So again, just showing you the power of these GIS systems. It looks like this overlays with Deschutes a little bit too. So different places on the map, parks, places. It shows you kind of what that is if you're looking to be close to a hospital. 2018 imagery. So this actually shows how it can change over time. Like maybe you want to compare to how an area looked in 2005 to how an area looked in 2018. And they kind of look the same to me. I don't know if there's any difference, but just kind of showing you the final of it. Let's say you were looking at a property and it's 2 acres and you're like, well, how the heck wide is a 2 acre? I believe we can just click. Nope. We got to use this measurement tool. And let's see if we can do it here. You can do GPS coordinates there. Feet. Yep, let's do feet. Let's do yards. And let's control to enable snapping. So see that down here on your computer. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just had to click down And so like you could look at a property like that. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to do this. Well, I'm not the best at using this tool. Let's clear that. And let me just click here. Just so interesting. I'm bad at using the tool, but we get the point, okay? I'm not going to waste a bunch of time in this video playing around with it. So we know we can measure, you know, how wide maybe a 1 acre is. Again, these are approximations. Like get a surveyor out there and really look into it. You can draw things on the map. You can save it. You can print it off to people. So you can search for other properties and tax maps using this as well. So this is Crook County's GIS system. Again, both Deschutes and Crook counties are awesome GIS systems. I'm going to close out this video. I know that was a lot, but I appreciate you listening. I hope this helps in your land research.